Every farmhouse carries a story, a quiet legacy built into its timbers and tiles. These homes are not just structures, they're living records of a simpler time, crafted with purpose and enduring charm. This video explores how honoring that heritage can coexist beautifully with elegance and modern comfort. Traditionally the home's beating heart, the farmhouse kitchen is where functionality met warmth. Today, we blend heritage with high design, think butcher block islands, vintage lighting, and reclaimed wood cabinetry balanced with smart storage and chef-grade appliances. It's where past and present harmoniously simmer. There's something magnetic about reclaimed wood. Each knotted plank or hand-hewn beam speaks of seasons past. Integrating weathered woods into floors, ceilings, or accent walls brings organic texture and authenticity, transforming new builds into instant classics steeped in rustic soul. Farmhouse porches once served as shaded gathering spots and quiet lookouts. Today, they return as serene extensions of living space. Wide eaves, rocking chairs, and lantern sconces invite lingering afternoons and heartfelt conversations. The porch remains a symbol of connection to nature, neighbors, and nostalgia. farmhouse windows are more than openings, they're portals to pastoral peace. Oversized panes, black-framed glass, or divided light styles flood interiors with golden light and bucolic views. They're elegantly functional, offering ventilation, charm, and a timeless nod to the landscape. Shiplap was once purely practical, keeping homes warm and dry. Today, it's a design staple, celebrated for its linear beauty and subtle texture. Painted in soft whites or weathered neutrals, Shiplap adds dimension while keeping the aesthetic grounded in tradition. Before open floor plans, the hearth anchored the home. Modern farmhouses are reviving this central feature with stone surrounds, wood mantels, and ambient gas inserts. More than a heat source, it's an emotional centerpiece, a gathering place that radiates warmth in every sense. The Everlasting Farmhouse embraces color schemes inspired by the land: sandy beiges, clay reds, slate blues, and mossy greens. These tones mirror the environment, soothing the eye and grounding the soul. Add elegant touches with linen drapes, patinaed metals, and artisanal ceramics. Lighting is the jewelry of the farmhouse. Wrought iron chandeliers, milk glass sconces, and copper lanterns bring instant gravitas. Sourced from antique shops or crafted anew in vintage styles, these fixtures offer warmth and a nod to farmhouse ingenuity. The farmhouse door, sturdy, paneled, and often barn-inspired, sets the tone. Whether sliding on exposed hardware or swinging wide with cast-iron handles, these doors are both practical and poetic. Painted, stained, or raw, they blend rustic roots with refined presence. Textiles breathe life into a farmhouse interior. Think heirloom quilts, ticking stripe cushions, or hand-woven rugs. They introduce softness, pattern, and layers of memory. Elegant choices, like washed linen or wool throws, ensure comfort without compromising sophistication. meets new elegance in the blend of metals. Matte black faucets, brushed brass knobs, and iron railings coexist beautifully in the modern farmhouse. The contrast is purposeful, echoing the balance between heritage charm and contemporary flair. While classic farmhouses were compartmentalized, today's designs open the space but preserve subtle separations. Beams, archways, and changes in ceiling height create cozy zones without closing off the space, preserving intimacy while encouraging flow. Even the mudroom gets a makeover. Farmhouse utility spaces once meant practicality over polish, but now they boast shaker cabinetry, honed marble counters, and vintage-inspired faucets. Beauty meets function in spaces that serve and shine. Farmhouses often follow symmetrical principles: gable roofs, centered doors, and evenly spaced windows. This balance brings visual calm. Elegance is enhanced through subtle proportions, aligned sightlines, and a deliberate harmony that feels both grounding and grand. Antique pieces lend weight and authenticity. A century-old farm table, a chippy armoire, or a wrought iron bed tells a deeper story. Carefully chosen, these elements elevate the aesthetic, proving that elegance often lies in imperfection. Farmhouses have always borrowed from their surroundings. Incorporating natural materials, stone, wood, cotton, flax, connects interiors to the land. Large plants, dried florals, or seasonal arrangements continue that relationship, adding grace and life with every leaf. The white farmhouse interior is iconic, but elegance lies in its layering. Creamy whites, soft ivories, and muted grays play with light, creating a luminous canvas. It's never stark, just soft, serene, and soulfully simple. Wall art in the Everlasting Farmhouse tells a quiet story: botanical prints, pastoral landscapes, or black and white family photographs. These selections ground the home in place and history, adding elegance not through grandeur, but meaning. True farmhouse elegance is found in restraint. Clean lines, quality craftsmanship, and purposeful design trump trends. This style endures because it values what's essential: honest materials, thoughtful details, and a deep reverence for place. Barn doors become headboards. Feed troughs transform into sinks. Rusted tools reimagine as wall art. These creative nods to farm life anchor the aesthetic in history while offering stylish conversation starters. Elegant farmhouses are bathed in light. Sheer curtains, skylights, and clerestory windows make use of natural glow. By day, the home feels open and airy. By night, warm bulbs and layered lighting keep the softness alive. Farmhouse bedrooms are retreats of quiet luxury. Layered linens, turned-leg furniture, and handmade touches create an elegant cocoon. Simplicity reigns here, but always with the intent to soothe, restore, and delight the senses. It's the small things that elevate a farmhouse: aged brass switch plates, handmade hooks, vintage keyholes. Each one is a tribute to craftsmanship. Together, they form a mosaic of grace that quietly elevates everyday living. Stone sinks, subway tiles, and wood vanities bring rustic charm. Elegant upgrades, freestanding tubs, polished marble, and iron-framed mirrors add modern comfort. The farmhouse bathroom becomes a serene blend of spa and simplicity. Outside, heritage continues. Raised beds, gravel paths, and native plantings reflect the rhythms of the farmhouse. Elegance arrives in manicured hedges or weathered trellises. The garden isn't separate, it's an extension of the soul inside. Patios and pergolas expand the farmhouse outward. String lights, stone fire pits, and cozy seating turn yards into sanctuaries. These are places of laughter and late-night stories, designed for timeless connection. Elegance meets ethics in the use of solar panels, reclaimed materials, and geothermal systems. These homes honor the earth as much as they do their roots, offering beauty that's not just timeless, but responsible. A farmhouse staircase isn't just a connector, it's a sculptural moment. Open treads, simple balusters, and natural wood tones keep things grounded. Add Add a gallery wall or a runner for quiet, composed drama. The Everlasting Farmhouse is not a trend, it's a testament to roots, to craft, to living intentionally and beautifully. It honors the past not by clinging to it, but by building upon it. In every board and brick, there's a welcome that never fades.